For part 3 of our series, we need to set up our Google Maps configuration. We got all the components and stuff ready, but it was not an easy install, unfortunately, and we do need to have some native linking. And if you look at the documentation here, there's an important do not use React Native link. So if you remember from our camera series, we were able to run React Native link, which basically automatically does a lot of this native linking for you. And for some reason, they do not have it configured with Google Maps, so we cannot use it. So we have to do a little extra work. And I want to make a note to those of you who have used Create React Native app. If you check the Expo docs here, they have this map view component. And if you read it, it says that this was built from React Native Maps. So they actually have the exact component that we're trying to set up already pre-set up for those of you using Create React Native app. The only difference is here they import map view from Expo. So in your app, like where we are doing it from the native module, you need to just change this to import map view from Expo. And I'm assuming you need to put in some sort of Google API key, but they don't mention that in the documentation. But I would take a look. Oh, right here, you need to do some configurations with your config files. But it's much simpler. So again, check the Expo docs and use their map view component. For the rest of us who aren't so lucky, and this is one case where I wish we just did use Expo, but it's too late now. So for the rest of us, we're going to need to install CocoaPods. You guys might have it already, but if not, just copy this command. And this is a dependency manager for Xcode. So like imagine it's basically like npm for Xcode. So just grab this command here and sorry, I ran it before, but there we go. Sudo gen install CocoaPods. I'll ask you for your password. And again, this is if you're on a Mac. You should have Ruby already installed. If not, well, you can't use Xcode if you're not on a Mac, so ignore that. Okay, once that's installed, you need to, so if I'm in my root directory here, type ls, you'll see Android, iOS, etc. Go to your iOS directory and go to the Yelp clone target. And when you're in there, you'll see this info.plist. Actually, no, we go down one more. You want to be in this directory here with Yelp clone.xcode project. And then what we can do is we can run what is get started install. Okay, pod init. And this creates here this pod file in our iOS folder. And it doesn't really have too much there. It's kind of just a base file. So let's jump back to our, and let's take a note how we have this target, Yelp clone do, target do. Okay, let's jump back to our documentation for the maps and look at their target your project name too. Okay, so they basically, if you look, are providing the entire file. So this should work, but let's give it a try. And see your project here. We just need to change our target with I'm going to comment these out for now. because we're not doing anything with the Apple TV target. I'm going to comment everything out for now just so we have it. And I'm going to just paste this below. So I'm going to the bottom of my file. And I'm looking through, post install, do this. So they're installing all this stuff. This is the one thing we want to adjust here. And it's going to be Yelp clone. And I know that because I want this to match this one right here that we just commented out. So I'm going to do that. Now let's scroll. Please make sure. So they don't say anything about running pod install. Oh, here we go. So we get to run pod install. I'm just going to link this stuff. It's pretty much similar to like an npm type install. And it looks like it's going to be a long one. So if you guys are on Android, I'm assuming it's an easier setup because it's Google Maps, it's Android. So let me just look while that's installing in the background. Android. So the Android one looks much easier because you can just add a couple of lines and it will download all of this for you. Yeah, so the Android one looks pretty simple. Check the docs. That's actually usually the case. They have some other like built-in tools that there is not on iOS, basically, which makes it easier. But while that's going, if you notice we skipped one step, here we have to get our API key. And again, I'm just doing the iOS one to not make the tutorial even longer. If you're on Android, follow the steps here. It's going to be almost the same. So I'm going to open this tab here and get started. It's actually very confusing in here. For like such a big company, I always hate Google for some reason. Everything is very confusing. And I'm just going to click all of these maps, routes, places. Create a new project. It's going to be called Yelp clone. Agree to their terms of use. Don't think we have to worry about setting up billing. I think if you use like a million requests or something, they want to charge, but I don't think we have to worry about that. So we should be able to do it without billing. Let me just make sure. I'm gonna pause 1 second real quick, because also I don't want you guys to see any of my like billing stuff. It looks like they have some new pricing going into effect in June. So they want you to put in like a credit card or just basically set up some kind of billing account, which most of you will have if you have any kind of Google developer account. And it's all free though, so just, I mean, it's free up to the first, let's say, 200,000 requests or so, which, by the way, I'm going to have to delete my API keys after this tutorial is done. But so just do that for now. You're not going to end up getting charged anything unless for some reason your app is the next Snapchat, which I doubt. But if so, then I think you'll have enough money to be able to pay. But anyway, so grab your API key once you set all that up. It's the same steps we just did, just maybe go to some authorize myself screen. I want to share my address and stuff, so I just paused for a second. But get that key, and let's go back to our documentation. It says if you want to use Google Maps. I wonder if they have a backup with Apple Maps if you guys don't have to pay. So give me 1 second actually. Oh, this is still going? Jeez. Okay. Uh, so I'm going to set this up while that goes, and so iOS app delegate. So just grab all this. It looks like we're replacing this line. This did finish launching with options. I just want to let this finish first in case we don't need the Google API key. Maybe it uses like an Apple Maps dependency as a backup, which will help all of you guys setting that up. So let's just see if this is about to finish this install. I'm sure it'll go through some other step or something though. If it does, I'll just stop again quick. Alright, it's actually installing. And I'm just going to look while that's going at the file that I want to edit, this app delegate. So it looks like I'm just dropping this in right here. And again, I'm not going to save this because I want... See, this plus sign seems weird to me. I don't know Objective-C, but I'm just going to leave it for now. I'm assuming that's like a Git notation, but this minus is here, so who knows. Import Google Maps above app delegate. Yeah, I think it's like this. But again, I'm not saving because I want to see if there's Apple Maps fallback. Sorry guys, I didn't realize this install would take so long. One, two, three, four, five, six. How many dependencies? 1, 2, 3. Alright, I think we're almost done. I'm also on like a really fast internet connection, so if you guys are home, it's probably taking me like a really long time. Alright, generating project, that's a good sign. Okay, so it looks like we're done here. What I'm going to do is just close Xcode, or close by itself. I'm going to restart the bundler, just to be safe. And I'm going to rerun the run iOS command. For the moment of truth. So if our key is bad, it shouldn't be crashing. So that's going to be the first thing. It should basically give us some kind of like error or console error, I would expect. So that's another thing you should get used to, is like troubleshooting in that sense. Did we do something wrong in our linking? Is our key bad? I suspect that if our key is bad or the key is required for Google Maps, it won't crash. It'll give some sort of warning, is my prediction. All right, let's see if we launch or not. So we don't see anything, right? So let's debug quick. see if we get a key error or anything, or just nothing. So no errors. Which means this is probably installed correctly. Oh, I think map view might be imported like this. Okay, so we might need that Google key, but I'm surprised we don't get any kind of error. I'm just going to set this height and width to 100 real quick. Alright, so clearly this is not what we want. So let's go back to our documentation first. Installation. See, the thing is, they keep saying if you want to use Google Maps. I'm going to try to avoid that just for you guys because of that extra setup. But okay, so I'm going to check the example project. So our issue is we have to give a style to, that's why we weren't getting any errors. So the map was existing, it just needs some height and width. So right now I just set to 100%. And I'll go back just to show you guys. So let's refresh here. So now we have no map. So it needs a default size. And again, we're trying to cover up this whole background here. So this was going to drag over it. So let's just do 100%. And the good news is regarding the Google Maps thing, I'm pretty sure we're using an Apple fallback. It must be because, sorry, this goes a little slow with this in the background. There we go. By the way, sometimes if your debugger tab's in the background, you'll get that warning and it really slows down. But see, check it out. We have this map now, and I'm going to click that legal thing. See, it's an Apple map. So we're using an Apple map. So what I actually did is went into our app delegate and commented out all this Google Maps stuff for now. So you guys can just skip that. And I don't foresee for now that we have to use Google Maps. So I'm going to, for now, try to do it without, just to make it more easier for everyone. Yeah, so just I got rid of the Google Maps stuff. So you don't even need that API key if you don't want to. I imagine most client type projects you'll end up using Google Maps, just so, I mean, it wasn't bad to check out that key process. But I mean, now we have this map here, and if you check it out, and we go here, there's this latitude and longitude. So I'm in New York, for example. So what I'm going to do is just on Google Maps, nope, sorry. If you look at like just Google someplace on Google Maps and look at the query string, and get this. There's this 40 and 73. This is a latitude and longitude. So what I'm going to do is grab those. I'm going to make this my latitude. Sorry to all my California listeners out there. And I'm going to refresh this map. It's pretty slow. I'm going to try it out on my device. And look, see, now we're in New York. And so what's basically these values here, we're going to basically use them in the search bar to kind of position our map accordingly. And then we can also search based on like this area of the screen here. So there's a lot of stuff we can do. And now that we have this set up, I think it's going to be pretty cool to get this all working. So I'm going to pause this one up here. And in the next video, we're going to just install like a couple of markers just to kind of see how